Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So mandatory minicamp for the New York Jets is here June 11th through June 13th. In this one, I wanted to kind of just do an outlook or a preview going into, the 3-day period here, because it's really, really important. Whenever you're talking about playoff teams that have high aspirations, teams that want to win the Super Bowl, you got to take, this stuff matters, right? You can't just take periods like this and just sweep them under the rug. We hear the term or the quote all the time, right? Championships are won in the off season. So really, really important stuff here. The first order business is health, right? We got to get through this thing as healthy as possible. I think it's super obvious to say that. Of course, every single fan of every single team, it doesn't even matter the sport, wants their team to be healthy when it's all said and done, right? They want their team as healthy as possible coming out of the off season. So don't want to spend a lot of time, too much time focusing on that. But as Jets fans here, we have seen year after year after year of our guys constantly getting hurt. Let's just get through this period healthy. Of course, it's a lot easier said than done. But in any case, I got my fingers crossed. Next up, this whole Haason Reddick situation. I'm really hoping that Reddick shows up for mandatory minicamp. I understand that he wants a new deal, but this is a brand new football team, a team that just traded for him. It's one thing to skip the voluntary portion of OTAs, but it's another to skip the mandatory part, so I don't want to see a situation where, boom, all of a sudden we get news Haason Reddick is skipping mandatory minicamp. Not only is he going to be, first of all, he missed out on $250,000 of, which was considered a workout bonus by skipping voluntary OTAs. But if he skips mandatory minicamp, he would essentially miss another $50K, right? Keep in mind, this is only a 3-day period here. And then also on top of that, this is mandatory minicamp. So now you're talking about potentially finding a player. You can't just skip mandatory minicamp and then just, not have any sort of repercussions as an organization. So, that's something that we see across the NFL. If you have guys skipping mandatory minicamp, you get fined. So, I just don't want this to turn into something. I don't want it to turn into something negative. Adding Haason Reddick was supposed to be a positive thing. It's still a positive thing. But if there's like a holdout here, and, you get the feeling that Reddick is disgruntled being with the Jets already, I could see this thing turning into kind of, a big negative storm, for lack of a better term. So I think, it's really important that he shows up. That's probably going to be like the number one thing I'm focusing on. But moving on to number 3 here, the development of younger players. I'm talking Olu Fashanu. I'm talking Malachi Corley. I'm talking, guys like Garrett Wilson, the new running backs, Isaiah Davis, Braylon Allen, all these different Izzy. How does Izzy look compared to the voluntary OTA portion? Can he step it up a little bit in mandatory minicamp? We got other young guys who I'm excited about. Stiggers at corner, McGregor, who's been making noise as an undrafted free agent pass rusher. We can talk about Eric Watts. Will he continue to turn heads? What's going to happen with these young players? I just want them all every single day getting a little bit better, little bit better, turning heads, making plays, right? Really getting a good grasp of the teammates, the system, the coaches, just going about the process the right way, turning into a pro. I don't want to hear, things about guys going backwards or guys, looking better in the early portion of camp and then struggling this go round. And of course, training camp is more important, compared to mandatory minicamp and voluntary OTAs, obviously, but still, when it comes to young players, and again, this goes for pretty much every team out there, you want your guys to be developing at a pretty steady clip. So we've heard nothing but great things from the Jets young players, first year guys, second year guys, high draft picks, undrafted guys. Let's keep that trend up, right? I really want to see positive news in that regard. Number 4, the Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers offense. I want them to continue working at it. I really feel as though the Jets are going to be run heavy this year based off of first of all, the depth at the running back position. We have so many guys there, 4 young running backs that the Jets all drafted, along with Tariq Cohen at spot number 5. Like if Tariq Cohen, former first team All-Pro kick returner, special team returner, is your fifth running back choice, I think you're in a pretty good position. You got Rodgers coming off the Achilles at 40 years old. I don't want to see him dropping back 35, 40 times weekly. As jealous as I am to, watch old Green Bay Packers highlights and see Rodgers at 26, 27, 28 just slinging the football around, which I still think he can do. Maybe not to that, to that certain, specific degree, but, again, I want Rodgers to be comfortable back there in the pocket. I want him to have multiple running backs to hand the football off to. And of course, the offensive line moves. Morgan Moses, John Simpson, Tyron Smith, Olu Fashanu, AVT coming back, Joe Tippmann going into year two. I really like where this offensive line is at. I think we really would only need one more depth piece. I think we're pretty much rock solid there. So, I really feel as though this offense figuring it out, because look, we all know what the defense is going to do. Defense is going to dominate. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, jump the gun, sound cocky or anything, but we know this defense. We know how good of a job Jeff Ulbrich does calling a game. We know how good of a job the Jets do game planning weekly. We know how good of a job the Jets do going up against top quarterbacks in football. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Take your pick. The Jets do a really good job of minimizing those guys' great days. We have a constant track record of that happening. I think really the question is maybe the safety position and all the new faces on the defensive line. Lecky Fotu is going to play a big role with this D-line, right, stopping the run. We have Javon Kinlaw. No more JFM, no more Bryce Huff. Of course, Haason Reddick added to the mix, but we'll see again what happens with McGregor and Eric Watts, and Leonard Taylor too from Miami. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think defensively we're totally fine. On special teams, we brought back both punter, Morstead and Zerline. Boyer's going to do his thing. I was impressed with what the Jets were able to do last year in special teams, but the offense was a complete and utter joke. Hackett, Rodgers, such an important time. Get this offense figured out. I know it's only 3 days, here, but every single day, like in the lab, at the Jets facility is important. Get it figured out. And then last but not least, distraction free, right? I think something that really hurt the Jets last year was all of the hype, right? With Rodgers, with all the Green Bay Packers players, with Hard Knocks, with the meet. Dude, I remember like literally just flipping on, Fox Sports 1 or ESPN as, just in the background as I'm working and stuff last season. Every single day they were talking about the Jets. They were talking about Aaron Rodgers. They were talking about Super Bowl. They were talking about Saleh and all these different things. We know the amount of pressure that's on this team that, we better make the playoffs, finishing beneath 500. I'm sick and tired of it. This roster is so, there's stars at so many different positions. Guard, pass rushers, corners, linebackers, defensive linemen, running backs, wide receiver, tackle. We're in a great position on paper. So this year it's definitely put up or shut up for this entire regime, in my opinion. So again, going back to last year, there was just a lot of noise, right? There were big, the Aaron Rodgers practices were like this. I felt like they got as much coverage as games, But this year, I like the approach of let's just keep our head down and work. You know what? We're not all that. We didn't win the division. We didn't, make a playoff run. We didn't even get to 500. We need to put in the work here, distraction free. Let's not start dumping gas all over a burning fire, which was kind of last year, this hype, this media train, everything was just Jets all day, every single day in the offseason. Because, you got to think, even before the Jets acquired Rodgers, there was the whole Pat McAfee show, and everybody knew the trade was going to be coming at some point. Before the Pat McAfee show, we had all the rumors that the Jets were interested in Aaron Rodgers, and even before that, there was the whole Lamar Jackson thing, the Derek Carr thing. There was just so much attention, so many eyeballs on the Jets organization. This year, to me, is the right approach. Keep it distraction free. Get the media. Let's get everybody off our back. Let's not have these crazy quotes, from Saleh and whatnot. Just do our thing, keep our head down, and work. Fly under the radar, and then come out swinging against San Francisco week 1. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for the updates. Thanks so much, and as always, go Jets.